Welcome to the Green Room, party people.
Party people.
Florida Flamingo Friday.
Oh, that's a lot of F's.
Florida man. Plenty of story. Thank you, Lax, or, whatever. Lax, what you call it? Attitude towards criminals. It's just like, hey, you know what? Whatever. Privacy is like meh. Florida, for God's sake. What do you want privacy for? If you're living here, you're a weirdo, so just get over it. The panhandle's all about. Apparently, we have a very special video presentation I'm unaware of. Look forward to that.
Yep. That's a thing.
We got the news. We got...
No, we don't have lolcows. I made this damn show this time.
It's lolcows, guys. Florida lolcows, the Sunshine State. So here's the thing. Arizona and Florida have a couple of things in common, and it's mostly citrus. Florida orange juice, and Arizona, one of our 5 C's is citrus. And I should have looked this up, and maybe you can lol gators. Oh yeah, but then they tear you apart and drag you into the swamp of the internet. Somebody please look this up, but I feel like I learned this and it feels like a fact. But a couple of things that are associated with Arizona and Florida, one being citrus. I believe oranges are native to China. I want to say that branch of citrus that was brought from China. Am I getting that correct?
Oranges originated in Asia in what is now called Southeast China.
Thank you. So another thing, this is not a Florida thing because fuck Florida and whatever, I don't live there. But I know this about Arizona and the Southwest in general. Tumbleweeds, also Asian in origin.
Oh.
So, the two things that the Southwest and Arizona in particular are known for, tumbleweeds and citrus, two of those things not from here. I guess technically cattle. I don't know if there are any local cattle, that weren't bussed in. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not an archaeologist. And even if I were, I'm no Casey Jones. I'm not Casey Jones, but Indiana Jones.
You're not either.
I was looking up, since we were talking about Casey Jones on Decon's show, I went and did a little looking into his origin. He's had a couple of retcons. So...
I don't know what that is.
So his backstory has been retold a couple of times. Since The Simpsons are so old, you know how, Homer was a baby of the 60s through the 90s?
Right.
So Casey Jones in the beginning had a completely different and somewhat anemic backstory. And then one of the cartoons introduced Hun, a character, which made its way into the comics. And then he made his way into Casey's backstory, which is then retconned a little bit. But moral of the story is Casey is just basically a dude that everybody thinks he is. He's just a dude that snapped one day and wanted to take the law into his own hands. Some say, was raised by TV or he's trained by ninjas or whatever. Moral of the story is it comes down to he just loves going around being a vigilante. That's why him and Raph get along. What's up, Dee Bot?
Hey, Dee.
011001. I'm Casey Kasem. Casey Jones Kasem. He doesn't. That's the thing. I know Rick D's references. I don't know Casey Kasem references. I know he was Shaggy. That's it. That's all I got for you.
More than me.
He's a DJ. That too. I guess that's
I knew
two.
that. That's it. That's the end of my knowledge.
What? There was a time in life where radio was so big, those personalities. There was a radio person who ended up on Married with Children, and I remember asking my parents, who is this person? I'm like, oh, it was a radio DJ. It's kooky something, and lend me your comb. So it's kind of like a character handing out combs to people. I'm like, this is unfunny at any speed. Jesus Christ.
This sucks.
Yeah, not good. Yeah, isn't that wild? Two of the things anyway. I wonder how much else that isn't from here that
original.
We just associate. Probably cattle, obviously, because I don't know what was rolling around in here. They had horses. We've got paleontological evidence of three-toed horses out here. But I don't know about the cow situation. I'll have to ask Gavin.
He'd know.
Like on the lineage, not lineage, but like the hierarchy of paleontological finds, like dinosaurs is like A number 1. But finding like your megafauna of the Pliocene and Eocene or whatever, like your giant armadillos, camels, and so on, you go, whoa, even like your horses, you go, well, it's a proto-horse, so it didn't have a hoof, it's kind of cool. Who's going to publish, and I'm sure they have to, because if you find it, you want to get known for something, but like a proto-cow, like a paleo-cow, what's up with them? Because elephants and hippos have a wild physiological morph throughout their lineage, and you go, whoa, with the tusks and the big mouths and the horns and the what do elephants have? Trunks, all that stuff that goes bananas throughout all these time periods. Cows, by and large, we probably just got them to where they were recently, right?
That's true.
Like that tactical thong.
Tactical thong.
decon.tacticalthongs.com. If you say it itches, in coupon code, there'll be 13% off at checkout. It'll hold a Walther PPK or any other 380 equivalent.
Nice.
I know I put 2 in there, but that's overreaching. Plus, it depends on how well endowed you are. You'll be able to fit like a Glock 19 if you ain't packing much naturally, if you know what I mean. We all know. Everybody is blessed with different calibers. Or cursed. But here's the thing, a 22 will kill someone. A 2-incher will still... I mean, it may not be great on both sides, but on the one side, it's probably okay. I can't speak to the ladies' side, but if I had a 2-incher and someone let me do it, I'd be like, yeah, it's great. I don't know about about you,
great.
But I'm doing it. Doing it and doing it and doing it. Like that Florida guy, the ripping and the tearing, right? That's another Florida reference. People love Florida. I don't want to go to Florida ever. I want to say that right now. There's a lot of places where people have a list of places you want to go, like Europe's popular, places in Asia or Australia or yada, yada, yada. I don't care. Whatever. There are places I definitely don't want to go. There's not any place I necessarily need to get to. You know what I mean? Yeah,
right.
Rod knows what I'm talking about. The ripping and the tearing. Ripping and the tearing.
I'm fine with never going to Florida again. And we used to go, like, I went a few times to Disney and then to see my grandfather down there. That
would be the one thing, though. If I could fly in somewhere, like in a blindfolded situation or like a bag over my head or like somebody
just to get to Disney?
Yeah, spike my buttermilk and stick me on a plane or whatever, and I wake up in the resort in the hotel or whatever, and I have to like experience Florida because it just seems like. But that every state has that. Like the amount of people who visit Arizona who haven't been here before are shocked at the amount of grass and trees we have just around because we're a state like everybody else. Like, of course, it's not like back east, but it's not like it. It's not like the literal Wild West, and that still persists.
It's just...
Like how much maple syrup are you guys making back there?
Miami during the Scarface era.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Florida is that weird mixture of like southern crazy and coast crazy. Because you can, like... In Arizona, it gets a little bit of this, but the Panhandle is the state where you can be like, yeah, I'm from Florida, I'm from Orlando, and have like no regional dialect. Or be born in the sticks and sound like you're from, someplace way deep south.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about Florida. It's a crazy place, and I'm glad we have it because it's a melting pot of like not only people but of like carnivorous animals and invasive species and giant snakes and shit. Yeah, it's like
crazy.
The Australia of America.
I was just going to say, it's like Australia.
Shout out to Matt Willis, am I right? Tell you what, why don't we go ahead and get this party underway?
Dog. Cat. Mouse. Turtle.
I can't see me love. You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave. This is FFOP Radio. It's Flinga Friday. We're going to be doing some true crime related content, but a little different than usual. We're not going back to Osceola County for any particular reason. Is there any reason we'd find your DNA inside this grapefruit? If there is a reason, that is how they will ask you that question. Is there any reason we would find DNA, wink, wink, of yours? Anyway, Krista is here, obviously acting as producer.
I am here.
We're enjoying a lovely lemon head mead that, whoa. The first two bottles, I was like, I don't know about this. But by the time the third one hit, I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You know how much I love lemons, right, guys? So let's hit it. But first, we've got some, like the video thing I got to talk to you and show you about and all other good stuff. I don't know what's going on. I was told I had to play this.
Be less excited and enthused about it.
I'm not. I can't be excited or enthused. I was told to play a mystery video. Here, take a look at it. We're going to be playing it here. Let's see. Hopefully this will work out.
My name's Matt, and I'm here to wish David a very happy birthday.
Okay.
And as I always tell you, we've always got Brokeback Mountain. Oh, well, no. As I always say, you're one of those weirdos.
Whoa!
Dave, I hear tell it's your birthday.
Oh, yeah. It's not my birthday. 2 days,
That's the
people.
rumor.
I know, I couldn't wait.
Well, I'm again it. I don't know why, but this particular persona says things like birthdays. I'm again it. I'm not for it. Don't know why, but I'm again it. I'm again it.
That's Scott from
But
the other show I do.
That being said, it would be disrespectful of me to not be the fine, upstanding citizen that I am and wish you happy birthday from all of us here at Paper Street Studios and Raiders of the Lost Genre.
Shameless plugging, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should be ashamed of
That's
yourself.
a thing. That's
That's a
I don't even know what I'm
All
talking
of us
about.
here, which
I don't
is
know
just
where this
you
even
two.
came from.
Okay.
It's just,
I got Sarah Boone.
Oh, whoa. Hey, it's Sarah.
She's on Fiverr.
She was reading the letters I heard earlier in the show. Oh, God. Copyright. I'm again it.
I'm again it.
Why, hello there, Dave.
What the?
My name is Clint. You may know me from such films like Cry Macho. And Deacon told me to wish you a happy birthday.
Is this a Fiverr cameo?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I tried to get Lauren Armstrong to do this, but he was asking for too much money. There was too much of a waiting list. I mean, it's gonna be so long. So happy birthday, brother! And all I could get was Clint Eastwood. So I'm sorry, man. He was like my number 8 pick. You know,
Number 8.
My second pick besides Lauren Armstrong was Uncle Joey from Full House.
Oh, whoa,
Sorry
Dave
about that, too.
Coulier.
So, anyways, happy birthday, brother.
Cheers, my man.
Dave, happy birthday from Derek in the UK.
Hey, it's Derek Sponge.
Although, now I think about it, I wasn't present at your birth, and all the people telling me that it's your birthday were also not there. In this post-truth world, I'm starting to think maybe it's more likely to be an international conspiracy, just like Finland. So have a great birthday, wink.
I hear Finland
I
is
was
a...
told to go
Whoa,
and do
Jesus.
this for you, Dave. They said, wish Dave a happy birthday. Deacon wanted me to pop out of a cake and surprise you, but I'm fat.
Is
I
this like a
can't do
Deacon
anything.
cavalcade?
He said, at least buy me
Those two.
a nice present. And I told him, I don't have a job. So this is all you get. Happy birthday, Dave. I'm a fuck up.
Hey,
shit.
baby.
No.
I'm outside. Seriously, I'm outside. I live outside now. Listen, I was talking to Sammy the other day, baked salmon. I call him Sammy. So Sammy tells me that you had a birthday. Congratulations. Supposed to be 13. Nah, I'm just kidding. Predator quote, am I right? Anywho, I gotta take off. Maurice swollen. I watch too much TCAP. Some friends and I are gonna go scope out this mansion that we heard about. Happy birthday. Next time you roll by this corner on your scoot, hit me up. I've got presents for you. Like actual name brand shit, like Snapple, Cheetos, and Cadbury milk chocolate. So, see you soon, alright, mate? Peace out.
Jesus Christ. That's hilarious.
Birthday, David.
Why is it like that? Because she made it slow.
I love it.
David.
Hey, it's Tony. Oh, God.
Service. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
You do a lot for this little community that you've generated, and we all appreciate it. And we hope you keep doing it. So, stick around. Happy birthday.
Whoa. This is insane.
Cowabunga!
What?
Mikey. Okay. Happy birthday to a radical dude.
What?
His jokes are as funny as they are crude.
That's hilarious.
Around the sun, you've made another loop. Uh-oh.
Oh, God!
But tonight I will dine on turtle soup.
Holy shit.
Happy birthday, Dervis.
That was hilarious. Oh, my God. Oh, no. There we go. Woo! Hot shit. That was hilarious. Thanks, everybody. Oh, my God. The finger puppets at the end. Chef's kiss, everybody. I got Clint Eastwood and Ambrosio Dupree. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much. It'll be my birthday in 2 days. It'll actually, one of my greatest presents will be Salmon will be on the show. We're going to be doing Ambrosio.
Yeah, so I was going to do it on Sunday. I texted Kayla and I was like, I can't wait. I need to do it tonight.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter when the holiday or what the holiday is. Like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, Krista will just walk into the room holding the thing she's going to give you and be like, here you go. I opened a birthday present tonight. I don't know if I have one later. Who knows? But basically, Christmas rolls around like December 13th. It's like, let's crack these babies open. Yeah, that's the way it is around here. Anyway, I appreciate that, everybody.
And thanks, everybody, for giving me the videos.
So great. Oh, my God. Like, not in a million years did I expect anything like that. And Decon, thank you so much. I missed your defense minutes. I hope you get back out of that jungle soon. But here's what we're going to be doing. Let me get this keyed up. So, like I said, we're not doing any interrogations. We're not doing any, boring stuff. We're going to listen to Krista, and we're going to be hearing interesting stories about the Florida man. So, Krista, let me go ahead and refresh my memory as to what the news intro is, and let's get this started. The Cooter! KFOP! What's in the news? What was your name again? Cooter? It doesn't matter. I was the Cooter, and that's all that matters.
No idea. So this guy, a Florida man, was arrested after telling a playground full of kids where babies come from. He's just looking like a stand-up guy.
Like, yikes, man. Like, face tattoos are one of two things. Like, there's a huge, and I love it because I really appreciate the style and the aesthetic of it, but a lot of tribal ladies and men are getting those tattoos on their chin or wherever on their face, and they go, yeah, I love that, because it's something that is unusual that gets a cultural pass, whereas like dude here has like a bunch of ICP scribbles.
It's like prison tattoos.
Yeah, and like I don't know. It's like one of those rich man, poor man things where if it's done well, like it's bulletproof. But if it's done at like the dollar store version or level, it's not so good. And that's what we got here is a Florida level face tattoo.
Yeah. Florida man was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct after climbing on top of a playground full of children and yelling about where babies come from. A police officer said Otis Dwayne Ryan, age 30, climbed to the top of a playground equipment at a park in Clearwater, Florida, Sunday afternoon and began shouting at the children.
Well, and here's the thing, like how stripped down was the process? Like, was he getting on like full like warm up the engine, or he's just like basically the mechanics of like A and B and bam? Here's the thing. P.S. Not for nothing, but I'm a father and I've been to a playground with my child. If a dude like him walked onto the premises,
we would be leaving.
I don't know if I would wait for him to stroll all the way to the equipment, climb to the top, and then see where he goes from there.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Like, we've seen sketchy spots and sketchy people show up, and I always give them the side eye. And, whatever. We're all on high alert because they're people you don't know. And 9 times out of 10, it's fine. But this dude does not give off those, like, I'm just here to chill vibes.
No. He began shouting at the children, telling them babies come out of women. And then he yelled, they come out of their pussies. The officer wrote in an arrest affidavit. At the time, parents were rushing to the area to remove their children. He is listed as a transient, caused multiple disturbances in the area before. Earlier that day, Ryan walked through a nearby pier yelling at tourists and making inappropriate comments about women's clothing and their physical attributes.
So here's a problem that we have, but I don't know what, we've had it forever as an organism, and every organism I'm sure has this if it collects in groups, is like, if you're just a nuisance, like, you just get to be a nuisance for the fuck of it. Like, you never, like, this dude has probably never, or let's not say this dude, I know his background, but there are people out there who are a nuisance where, like, they have entanglements with the cops that always sort of end in nothing. Yeah. And they're just a constant nuisance where they bring stress and strife and displeasure to the people around them, but they never get to the boiling point where they commit a crime where it takes time away.
Yeah. He was charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct and fined $118.
Right, so then they'll just pop back out and just be in that system. So what do we do, right?
Right.
If we're going to talk about these, like the criminal justice system and the law and order of it all, this is a hyper extreme. But like there's like a Mr. Show sketch where they're gonna wall off like all of Seattle and put all the undesirables there.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't want to, because it's so Orwellian and like horrifying, right? To think that if you were just a nuisance, like, but we have like 3 strikes laws that nobody seems to bat an eye at. Like, if the 3rd strike is you just like barely committing a felony or whatever, you're gonzo. So I don't feel like it would be that insane to just have a community with like just a bunch of fuckwits in it. Like, not a jail, not necessarily an internment camp. Like, maybe that's open borders, you can leave, but like you're forced to
like
at
a
least
community center or something.
like live in a specific.
Yeah.
I mean, we do it with jails. And if you can't put them in jail forever and they're just going to come out and like another, like, steal $15 worth of shit and spend another 30 days in the pen, it just seems easier to be like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay, so that was the end of him.
You just walk that line.
Florida woman accused of walking into home, undressing, then hugging and sitting on people. In Citrus County, Florida, a woman was arrested Sunday after police say she walked into a home, did all of that, and sat on people, including several who were 65 years or older.
Okay, so that makes sense, because You put yourself, you put your camp shit back on Counselor Dave. Yeah, God bless Florida, am I right? Hey, if they need a camp counselor, I'll do it. Like if Florida was like, hey, guess what? We're putting together 270 acres of not necessarily swamp or marsh, but it's not going to be great, where we're going to build a bunch of houses and convenience stores and stuff, and it's all just going to be run and operated by people who are just constantly fucking annoying other people. And I get to run around with like a felt star, and I get to, because again, they're all petty. It's like telling kids to go to their room. We just keep doing it over and over again. I take the job. 6 figures? Where do I sign? I'm just kidding.
35-year-old Heather Cruz of Dunellen walked into the Citrus County home through the side door. Once she was inside, she removed her clothing and exposed her genitalia before she grabbed and hugged the homeowner, according to police.
I mean, what would you... I don't know, man. It's one of those things where, like, everybody who listens to this, their first knee-jerk reaction, you probably had it too, is like, I would get the fuck up and start shouting and I wouldn't let it get as far as the hug, let alone the sitting. But, like, legitimately put yourself in that situation.
You're in shock.
You're in, like, yeah, if you're just a normal person, it would feel like your head is swimming in a nightmare. And, yeah, by the time her bare ass hit its third lap, you'd probably be like, whoa, what? But, like, up until then, you're like, huh?
When she was told to stop, she said, "You like it," to one of the victims.
She was on Trank. And P.S. Rod, yeah, a la Ernest Goes to Camp. One of my favorite fucking movies. Top 3 Ernest movies. Sorry to stop and do this right now, but top 3 Ernest movies anywhere ever. I don't care if you make an iceberg or whatever your opinion is, doesn't matter. You can switch them in any order you want, but it's, oh fuck, there's 4 of them. Ernest Saves Christmas. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Perfect movie. Ernest Goes to Jail. Wow. Ernest Goes to Camp. Whew. Classic. Like 12 Angry Men caliber. And then when you want to get spooky, Ernest Scared Stupid.
I've never seen any of them.
That's the quadrille. What? Oh my God.
You've known me for how long? And I've told you 100 times I've never seen any Ernest movie.
The Army when Ernest Rides Again is whatever. Like, there's a bunch of fluff in there. Like Ernest Goes to Africa, Ernest Rides Again, Ernest blah, 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 blah. This one where he plays basketball. They're all fine. He's a character that was made as a mascot by Don Cherry and Associates to sell orange juice and ice cream and other shit. So it's not like he can sell out. But the depth of those 4 movies that I have spoken to you now about, that I don't want to go over again, are wonderful. Like the acting in Ernest Goes to Camp, amazing. Ernest Scared Stupid has the incredible Eartha Kitt acting as like this crazy junkyard lady, and there's trolls rolling around. Like Lyle from Ernest, and the electrical powers he gets from the chair, and they were gonna just fry him. A kid's movie. P.S. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're
her
fine.
bare lap was on people's, her bare ass was on people's laps.
Yes. Police say 2 of the home's occupants then attempted to remove her and escort her to the front door, and she grabbed the testicles of another individual and made several sexual remarks.
Here's the thing. When shit's crazy, the worst thing you can do is throw gas on that fire. The amount of times I probably escaped with my life due to like charisma and de-escalation are probably a zillion.
Yeah.
Like I probably talked my way out of an armed robbery once because the dude was drunk as hell and wanted my drill and wasn't going to take no for an answer unless I was able to be like, yeah, man, but then I'd have no job. And we had a very long conversation. I ended up giving him a book at the end and be like, hey, you should read this. It's great. And he fucked off. But if I'd have been like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Fire versus fire works if you're trying to cut it off at the pass. But the thing is, people aren't fire and they're very complex and also volatile. So if you come at them with shit, they're going to throw it back at your face.
Yeah.
So just talk your way out of the nude lady.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently, once police arrived, she was ordered to put a shirt on, but she resisted officers. She was then handcuffed, and she kicked an officer in the chest. And she kicked a second officer in the chest.
It's a fine line, and it's a dance, because there are a lot of times where diplomacy works perfectly, but like when illicit substances are involved, it's nothing but force. It just feels like the de facto for most police encounters, at least the ones I see, are like already an 11. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody gets pulled over and they're suspected of doing something, nothing's been confirmed yet. It's like, get your fucking hands on the thing. And I'd be like, yeah, it just seems like, you don't know what the person has in the car. You're already making a suspicious stop or whatever. We've all seen the crazy videos on YouTube and everywhere else. Like, why walk up to them at a 10? It's the same thing I have with interrogations. Like, we harp on the rapport building, but it's necessary. We are social creatures, and again, even if we weren't, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Right. You don't want to start off at a 10 and accusatory when you don't.
I think you're right, Rod. Rod says I think a lot of people let pride get in the way. And yeah, you're probably right, because you want to, if you're an idiot or misinformed or just sort of ignorant or aren't really good at reading humans, being louder or more aggressive or whatever may feel like you're getting the upper hand. And like in a tooth and claw world, yes, the bigger and stronger and angry you are, sure, you dominate. You'd get those mammoth bones and you'd crack them open yourself and get that marrow while all these other whimpering simps, stand around drinking shit water, while you dine. But, now that we've got a massive intellect, it's more of a game of cat and mouse in that way.
Yeah.
But we're seeing those sort of die out. Except for in hopefully in extreme cases, people are now more aware of like how delicate the human psyche is and how easily manipulatable we are, instead of just being like, fuck you, bitch, I'm taller, or I've been doing this so many years, or whatever the fuck we put on the bingo card.
She now faces 3 counts of battery on persons 65 ages or older, 2 counts of battery on a law enforcement officer, 1 count of resisting an officer with violence, burglary with battery, exposure of sexual organs, and battery. Whew. She was held on a $48,000 bond.
And isn't that wild? Like, that's a shit ton of charges. And that's the wild thing about it, too, is like, I don't know. It feels... Okay, so like when you go to like when the Sharper Image existed, or maybe they have them as Spencer's Gifts. Those things that are like full of sand and water, right? And they just rock back and forth.
Yeah.
Like those relaxation machines. It feels like crime is the water. Like it moves fast and it's able to adapt because it doesn't have to worry about rules. And law enforcement is the sand that's sort of slowly, never fast enough.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, since we're slow and it's like a big old whoopsie daisy that this woman's ass came into contact with 14 people and whatever, we got to go, well, after the fact, now that the sand is catching up, since we were pretty slow or whatever, we can't really tell the future, let's really pack on the shit afterwards.
That's true. That's the end of her.
That's it?
Yeah. Get
out of here.
Florida man found guilty of kidnapping and torturing a plastic surgeon. Federal prosecutors have brought the case against 56-year-old Serge Nicarina.
What?
Who was found guilty of conspiring to commit kidnapping and kidnapping earlier this week. He faced up to life in prison for this.
Here's the thing about conspiring now. Like, I know that we probably harp on this a lot, but like back in the old days when everything was like on letter or whatever, and like the only way that someone got a copy of anything that you ever wrote to somebody else is if like they had a copy machine or like they saw it and wrote it down themselves.
Yeah.
Like you carry around an evidence creating machine. And the thing is, like, evidence sounds like a scary word, but it's not necessarily. Evidence just means that there are traces of something having happened, right? So, like, if you go to Facebook, there'll be evidence on your phone of you going to Facebook. That's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's just you forget about it because it becomes part of your life. And since it's always in your pocket, you don't realize it's pinging every 3 seconds. And every time you check in to whatever or whoever you text, and maybe there should be a third layer of this. There's like oil on top of the water on top of the sand, where technology moves a little faster than everything. So like criminals back in the day, they could be like, burn this letter. And they go, yeah, well, there was only one copy. And then,
it got burned.
Even if it didn't get burned, what are the odds of paper lasting and yada, yada, yada? But like in a digital era, it's not like it's got sent from one phone to another and it exists in 2 places. It probably exists on dozens of servers across however many states it took to get there, or God knows how they tagged that shit.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. There was probably a time when, and bank robberies, there was a golden age of all that. And as technology sort of catches up, the smart ones fall off, but the stupid ones will always be there to be like, like my track phone caught me in a swamp texting a number of a dead person, and the ping off that phone was in my other pocket. Whoops, whatever.
Oopsies. Apparently the jury for this case deliberated for 4 hours. It was him and another guy who already pled guilty, plotted to kidnap the plastic surgeon. They placed the prosecutors said they placed a GPS tracker on the bottom of his car, bought devices from hardware and medical supply stores, and he rented a storage container in Florida.
Every time I hear about a kidnapping, it always ends in like, that was just a cover story because there was always going to be a murder, or it was an accidental murder that was covered up as a kidnapping. Because since whatever technology and police tactics are as they are, a kidnapping seems like so, I don't know, man. It just seems like the amount of effort and coordination and probably manpower to pull off like a successful kidnapping for actual money.
Yeah.
Unfucking believable. And it would have to be so much that you would have to like be able to retire to the Fiji Islands. Like, let's say you get 40 grand because you kidnapped some rich idiot's kid, and you get the 40 grand and you go, whew, like everything went off without a hitch. Like, do you think that law enforcement, after that all is over, they just go, well, shit. The ransom. You're always going to have to be looking over your shoulder and shit, and it's just like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it's just... There are so many things that don't seem worth it, but... everybody thinks they're smarter than they are.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody is a Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio, but everybody likes to swing for the fences, right?
Yeah. So him and this other guy kidnapped the plastic surgeon on January 14th of 2019. He was leaving a supermarket with groceries, and he used a stun gun on his neck and threw him into a van. At the storage container, they tortured him for hours and burned the victim's hands with a blowtorch to force him to reveal the security gate and door codes to his home. But as they were trying to rob his home, they were scared away by the doorbell camera and abandoned the plan and left the victim at a strip club parking lot.
I fucking tell you what, guys, like, Ring doorbell cameras are probably things that catch more criminals who bought them. I was just watching this interrogation video of this woman. She's in there, I don't know, she's middle-aged, let's say. I don't remember all the details because it's a brand new case to my brain. But she may have had a thing going on with a younger woman, and I don't know if this case is made through, so I'll say allegedly, but she killed her ass in her driveway with her own gun, waited 3 hours before calling the police, and had a Ring doorbell camera. And I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you... Okay, so her excuse was like, oh, I was drunk and I woke up, like we were driving home. I woke up in my driveway next to this woman who I was just at the bar with, dead, shot dead. And they say, well, according to the video footage we saw, like there was a flash of light, so the gun went off in the car. And according to your story, because they reiterated like 40 times, you had 3 beers at the bar. She goes, yeah, 3 beers. And a gunshot inside a small Saturn didn't wake your ass up? P.S. It was from your gun?
Yeah, she wouldn't be able to hear.
Yeah, it's just insane. Whatever.
That's the end of the plastic surgeon. They were both guilty. Like,
guilty,
obviously.
Guilty. What's in this news article?
Florida man slaps girlfriend with cheeseburger and then kicked her down the stairs, apparently. A Kyle Jamison Jones, age 30, abruptly woke the woman up on May 4th with the odd assault of the cheeseburger.
Let me run this into your flagpole typing square. Whoever wants to answer this in the future and beyond. This just occurred to me, but do you think that sometimes these like domestic violence dudes choose things like that are absurd to see if they can get away with it?
Probably.
Because I've heard a country mile of like domestic abuse cases where the weapon was like a cheeseburger, like an absurd amount of ketchup, or like a wet towel, or like 17 bagels, or whatever. Like non-lethal and also non-injurious items that like you're just hoping that if and when the cops show up, you can be like, what? That bitch slipped and hit her face on a cheese, or something. Like maybe I hit her with the cheese, maybe you own up to it, and like you're just hoping the cops go, well, there's no law in the books for getting slapped in the face with a cheeseburger while being called a bitch. Like what?
Yeah,
there was one case where a man assaulted a woman with raspberry vinaigrette. It's a classy crime.
The woman said Jones continued to attack her by pulling her hair and kicking her down the stairs. The deputy said when they arrived, quote, the victim was visibly upset and covered with particles of the food item.
So she had like cheese in her hair and shit.
Like onions, those little tiny McDonald's onions.
Slap my girlfriend with a cheeseburger challenge on TikTok. Yeah, the Chinese are eating that up. Well, that's got to be it, right? Like if you are a jailhouse lawyer, or if you're just an idiot, I can see you trying to make a case for yourself, being like, what? She got hit in the face with a cheeseburger, Your Honor, or cop or whoever. But that's the thing. Simple assault is still simple assault. Like, no matter how hilarious the weapon, like if you hurt someone, like...
If he didn't kick her down the stairs also...
Right, but that's the thing. They're always mitigating circumstances. But even if the cop showed up and she had pickle marks on her face, there'd be something there.
Yeah, I mean, he admitted to the verbal fight, but not the physical one. He was charged with battery and he was put in jail. Like...
Crazy. I don't know, man.
A cheeseburger.
I can't imagine laying hands on another human being and then like being like when violence, like, whatever, violence may be the answer if you're being murdered, but like to slap a bitch with a cheeseburger, I can't imagine that, like, the amount of brain damage I would have to undergo, or like the years of drug abuse, or like psychotic drugs, or like meth. I can't imagine. It's just beyond me, but it's like a way of life to a certain Floridian subsect, I imagine.
Yeah.
And local here. We got guys whipping their balls out in Walmarts and slapping up their ladies.
Yeah.
So we got that.
I mean, it's everywhere.
All right. Next.
Florida man told police he lost it. Shot his mother over orange juice, a remote in car use.
That's a Florida crime. Orange juice related.
29-year-old South Florida man shot his mother following an argument over OJ, an air conditioner remote, and the use of her car. Lewis Pages.
Okay, sorry, whoops. But this dude is way too old to be living with his mom.
He's 29.
Yeah, way too old. Like, I don't know.
I dated a guy who was 28 and still lived with his parents.
Gross. I'm of two minds, because there are always going to be extenuating circumstances, and I don't ever want to be one of those, like, parents where it's like 18 and you're out of my house or join the military or whatever. But I also don't want to be one of those parents where it's like, hey, you're 27, you think you'll find your calling this year? It's somewhere in the middle. But then again, like, you try to strike out on your own and something happens, you got to move back in. There's extenuating circumstances. But like, this dude
probably never left.
He feels like he never left.
Yeah. Hey.
Sorry, I keep hitting the button because it's usually what I do.
Lewis Pages told police he lost it during the Sunday evening argument and shot Miriam Gonzalez, age 59, multiple times in their North Miami Beach home.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. Like,
he said, "I killed her. Take me to jail."
We've all experienced anger, and I'm sure done or said things where we go, "Oh my God, I feel like such a bad person." When in hindsight, it's like, "Well, whoop-de-fuck," because there's always a sliding scale. It's like, geez, yeah, Chandler Halderson. Yeah, he feels like a Chandler Halderson. Like, yeah. And that's the thing, though, is like all these, like a Joel Guy Jr., any of these dudes who fit that mold of like the overly coddled or excused, or however you want to describe these dudes, is like, sorry to do this, but it's like the lol cows. Like, what enables someone into being a violent monster is the same type of situation that enables whatever. Like, if you're overly permissive, like your job as this dude's parent, or Cyrax's parent, or King Cobra JFS's parent, or any other locale, Darkside Phil's parent. That's for you, Kayla. Like, the thing is, I don't want to cut my son too much slack because I know that society won't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't cut your progeny too much slack because other people who aren't you, who don't have that blood tie, who won't go, "Oh, I know exactly what you mean when you called me a fuckbag. I actually know that you said you love me. So let's all just cut the cake and eat whatever." You have to realize that other people out there are going to have zero tolerance for that shit. So you have to sort of meet them in the middle and not be overly permissive and be like, "Oh, yeah, you're 29. You'll find your way. Why don't you go ahead and, like, boot up Forza Horizon 7 and just take another day for you, champ." But that's what this guy, I guarantee, got to, because
yeah,
24, I can see that happening. 25, you go, "What the fuck, dude?" 29 and beyond.
Not to defend the guy that I dated, but he also was in college and he worked. It was expensive to live in Connecticut, so
right. That's what I'm saying. There's going to be extenuating circumstances where like shit is expensive, or maybe there's a cultural element or whatever. But his
mother also coddled him.
Yeah, but there you go. So, like, are you trying to disprove or prove the point?
It's both.
Right, and that's the thing. We're all going to be in a gray area somewhere.
So he
remote control car. Yeah, they were really pissed off about that sweet shit they got from Radio Shack before it closed. It's like, Mom, you already had a fast pack charge. Now it's my turn.
He told officers that she held up a pink knife and threatened him before the shooting. He's charged with 1 count of second-degree murder and being held without bond. He tried to shoot himself, too, but was out of bullets. He then called 911, and he told them to take him to jail.
It's amazing how many, dudes is mostly dudes. How many dudes, like, kill somebody and say, I was going to kill myself, but, the zany thing was I just couldn't. Like, I was able to... Like Daniel Medina or whatever his fucking name is, he wrote all those dumbass books. Like he shot his wife like 8 times in their kitchen or whatever. Anyone was like, oh, I was going to kill myself, but it's impossible. I was able to somehow end somebody else's life, but when it came to mine, I was just like out of ideas. Morons. Oh, fucking say that story. Like, there's like no wounds on you, not even like you tried to hit yourself in the head with the gun in like a futile attempt because you were driven mad by emotion. You were just like, fuck it, I'm gonna have some eggs or whatever. Fuck you. Fucking story. That's the same thing with with Taylor Ship Business, if you've been in the Discord. If you're gonna be one of those people, just don't swing for the fences on the insanity plea, because like 99.99% of people who are found sane, the jury is going to be told not to let any of the fact that you tried to play insane play into their mind. But again, a bell cannot be unrung. We're all human, and somebody is going to have a little neck wiggle in that jury. I don't fucking think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Anyway, I can't talk about her because we'd be here for 4 more hours.
None of your shit business.
None of your shit business. Can you go to my Mick Jagger guy, please?
Mm-hmm.
A man is facing charges after getting into fights at 2 Collier County restaurants, according to Naples police. 59-year-old Eugene Bingham,
just because you have shitty hair doesn't mean you're a rock star.
Was picking fights with diners at Ocean Prime on Monday night.
This is like if back in the day I would get shit-faced in an Applebee's and be like, I'm Ed Norton. I'm Ed Norton. Did you see Death to Smoochie? Give me another Appletini, you bitch.
He was telling everybody he was Mick Jagger. According to the arrest report, he charged at an officer once they got there and said, don't fuck with me. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm Mick Jagger.
I can't get no satisfaction at this Chili's.
Shortly
He's
after,
always getting into fights at Applebee's and TGIFs and on the borders. Like, that's what you know about Mick Jagger. He's 117 years old and he's constantly getting into fist fights at a medium tier chain restaurants after between 3 and 7 margaritas.
Shortly after the interaction with police, they placed him inside a police car where he vomited all over the back seat. As one of
he
the
looks
officers,
like Nick Nolte and Mick Jagger. Nick Jagger.
Apparently, previously, he has been kicked out of the establishments 3 times for being disruptive and drunk.
Previously at a Florida Applebee's.
He was charged with disorderly conduct.
No shit.
I wonder if he had a $118 fine too, like the first guy.
It's a steep price to pay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. What I don't understand, this is a personal gripe, and fuck me, right? But if you get a speeding ticket, it's like $200 or $300, right? Or you can take the driving class. I don't know. I haven't gotten pulled over in God knows how many years. I'm just extrapolating based on inflation. But so that is just speeding, right? All a cop had to do was spend 17 cents in gas and then 14 cents in paper and ink to be like, guess what, fucker? You got a ticket. Every time someone says, you're going to pay all the court costs, and the gavel hits, you go, Jesus Christ, the bureaucracy of a fucking court. It must be, if not thousands, tens of thousands, because you're like, court costs, that's a judge and a stenographer and maybe a court artist and the public defender and the prosecutor. All the people, they go, Court cost of $18.37. What the fuck? Where's my money going? Hello, pay the court cost. It's $37.50 plus the $500 fine of whatever.
Yeah. It's crazy. You pay more like on a 4-second ambulance ride.
Yeah, like I feel like the post office's rates are higher than most court costs.
Probably. Florida man was arrested on aggravated assault charges after he allegedly armed himself with a machete and a baseball bat during a dispute with his son about a hedgehog.
Here's the... Machetes are one of those things where, like, the only people who have them are dudes who work around a lot of heavy foliage, so it's a necessity, or they're like the bud cake collectors. And in Florida, like, those two Venn diagrams are almost a perfect circle over one another, right?
That's true. Yeah, probably.
But still, even the word machete feels like... If you say, oh, yeah, machete... It immediately brings the conversation down to like Appalachian hillbilly standards. Mm-hmm. And P.S. baseball bats aren't a great weapon. They're good for hitting balls, but like their maneuverability is fucking terrible. Just ask Cyrax. His baseball bat was ripped from him like that because they're good at hitting balls, not hitting people.
Didn't Casey Jones also have a baseball bat?
He had a Conseco bat, and if you'll notice, Raphael caught it like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. Baseball bats not great like defense weapons. Personally, whatever, you may have an opinion, which is, it's yours.
Homer Stacy II, age 53, was walking outside his Green Acres home Sunday pushing a wheelchair with a baseball bat and a machete on the seat when deputies arrived.
If only he were Homer something whatever Jr., he could have been called Hoju. Like that reference, everybody?
Stacy told the officers they were
Jeff
for his
Stacey?
protection. I can't do a Jeff Stacy voice, sorry.
They're for my... Here's the thing. Like, personal protection is one of those weird gray areas where if you're a weirdo, you can justify literally anything. Homer Stacy, Jeff's uncle. Oh, God. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. But that's the thing. Find any sort of whatever that can have a tactical purpose, and you'll find someone pushing it. Like, there are, batons and canes and knives and guns and whatever, tactical thongs. There are so many products out there, but it's like, I mean, realistically, how many people are being attacked? Not very many. And like, it's basically like, how much of a public spectacle do you want to be? Like, I carry a tactical pen, but mostly because it writes well.
Yeah.
But if I needed to like break open a window or like show somebody what's up, sure. But like, if I were carrying it, like this machete officer, I carried it for self-defense. Like, who are you defending yourself against? Guerrilla fighters in South America? Like, this is Florida, my dude.
I bet Deacon has a machete.
Oh, he definitely does. He's probably got dozens. But he also lives on a farm and can justify that.
Bears.
Yeah, bears, mountain lions, cougars, coyotes, etc., peccary and javelina, or whatever your weird giant animal choices where you live. If you live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, you can go, I need all these things. And I believe it, because I wouldn't want to be ripped apart by a pack of giant pigs or whatever. But like, if you're in Orlando, they go, what's the machete for? And it's for self-defense?
Yeah, no.
What?
I can't imagine like living in Australia.
I practice machete kundo.
Like, I know.
I think Australia gets a bad rap.
Everything
but
wants
like,
to kill you.
Right, but like the populated portion of Australia is so small compared to like the landmass. Like, here in Arizona, we have a bunch of stuff that can kill you. How often do you see those things?
Yeah, I don't like to think about it.
Never. It's why. You don't have to think about it. You never see them. Oh yeah, the bathroom cougar. It's a bathroom cougar machete. It'll be in a combo package. If the sound of the cougar doesn't scare them off and they somehow break that flimsy lock in the mall shitter, you'll be able to relieve them of one of their limbs as you effortlessly continue to take your shit.
Yeah.
Bathroom Cougar available at all Best Buys.
He claimed he had just walked over to tell his son to come get the hedgehog that he left at his house. As the deputies were questioning him, he went from back and forth from being cooperative to belligerent. He was placed in the back of a deputy's car but began screaming when he saw his son, who he threatened to kill. Awesome. He told police earlier that day that he confronted his son, took off his shirt, picked up a baseball bat, and held it.
It's a machete. Right?
It's a knife. It's for defense.
What? Defense and real life are two different things.
He was booked on 2 counts of aggravated assault.
Fucking Jesus, dude. But, here's the thing. People are fucking weird. You don't have to be in Florida to be a fucking weirdo. I'll tell you the story that I've told a million times before, but I'll tell it again. When I was super young, I worked at Burger King in the drive-thru and still wore a lot of rings. Except I wore one on every finger back then, and like big ones. And this dude came through in this old, like, burnt out primer gray, cutlass or whatever. And he was like, "Oh man, cool rings." He's like, "You probably, whatever, punch." Here's the thing: you don't want to punch people with rings because they'll break your finger bones. So if everybody says the defense, no, they're not brass knuckles. They'll break your fingers. But he's like, "Hey, cool rings. You probably kick a lot of ass. Let me show you something." And gets out of his car in the drive-thru, goes to his trunk, opens and shuts it, and then flashes a homemade Freddy Krueger glove at me.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, "That's for defense?" Like, God forbid, like, here's the thing. It's almost a 50-50 coin flip if you use a gun to defend yourself. In a situation. Imagine having to defend a homemade finger knife Freddy Krueger style Friday the 13th Nightmare on Elm Street style bullshit. Like, it's for defense, officer. Like, you're there like tapping your chin with the finger blade that's covered in the dude's blood. Like, it wasn't a Glock 17 that you shot 5 times instead of 3 or 2. Like, this was man hours you put into a glove that you kept in your fucking trunk for defense purposes only.
Of course.
If Michael Myers ever comes out of the woodwork.
Yeah. So this guy here.
This guy looks familiar.
He does. And
like
I don't.
An actor or something.
Yeah. I can't figure out. Yeah. Who, but yes.
Give me a minute. I'll see if I can pull it.
Okay. So he.
Like a fat meth riddled Stanley Tucci. But give it time.
Maybe it's Gary Busey.
Definitely Gary Busey. It's always a go-to is Gary Busey.
So this guy's name is Thomas Colucci.
Busey?
Yeah, right. He called the Hernando County.
What generation Italian is he? Obviously, that's what matters. How does he say manicotti and mozzarella?
It's a manicotti.
Oh, you must be Italian then.
And mozzarella and regat. Anyway, Thomas Colucci called the Hernando County Sheriff's Office last week to report he had just bought some meth from a guy he met at a bar and he wasn't getting the high he expected. He pointed out that he was an experienced drug user and knew what it should feel like. And the stuff he bought did not measure up.
It felt different enough that he called the cops.
He wanted the sheriff's office to test the stash and determine if it was really meth or not.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. with crime, if you're, I don't want to say ignorant, but if you're like not honest with yourself and aware of the reality of the situation, most criminals who are caught are stupid because it's just the way it is. Like, there are so many criminals committing crimes. You have to be stupid to be caught because there are so many. Like, it just has to be the easiest ones to get snatched up first. There are ways to still go and do things without detection. It happens all the time. There will always be ways around it. Just because you have a cell phone doesn't mean there aren't ways that you can't get off scot-free with shit. It's just, the thing is, like, every criminal that gets caught, that gets labeled a mastermind, is still dumber than the dumbest person who doesn't get caught, right?
Yeah.
So when we're scraping, so we're already low in the barrel. Let's say that. Your top tier dudes never get caught. Middle tier dudes get suspected, but whatever. And then we get to the level of the barrel where you start getting caught. And then there are those dudes like this, where you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, where they're calling to turn themselves in because they want tests for purity on their drugs.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know who I would trust more than someone who is legally, ethically, and morally given a blank check to lie to you about anything.
Yeah.
I'll call 911 for my meth. Test that shit.
The sheriff's office was more than happy to test it. They went,
But he did ask them if they were cops beforehand, and they did say yes, so that was above board.
Right. They headed over to his house, and as it turns out, it was actually meth, and he got a free ride to the hospital for an evaluation before scoring free and board at the county jail. He's facing meth and paraphernalia possession charges.
Okay, let me ask you something really quick. So I just watched a video on this, and it's always been something that's intrigued me because, like, where does personal responsibility start? So I just watched a video where a dude was selling crack cocaine. He got pulled over, and he swallowed a shit ton of it. The cops knew he swallowed it. He later died in the interrogation room from cocaine poisoning. Now, obviously, everybody's like, oh, whoa, like the cops knew that he was doing that. He was acting weird. He was having seizures. Like, there were a million opportunities for the powers that be to stop and get this guy some Narcan or whatever.
Yeah, couldn't they have given him like activated charcoal or something to make him throw up?
But here's the thing. Not to bring up old cows again, but if you're a drug dealer and you're aware of the product and you swallow a lethal dose, why would you? That's the thing. Why would you fucking do that? Like, I get when dudes swallow it or whatever, if it's in like 2 balloons or a bunch of plastic bags or whatever.
So that won't break down.
Yeah, because you took measures, like you're going on a plane flight or whatever. You got to shit it out later.
Yeah.
The dudes who were like in the moment, like, I'm going to eat 17 crack rocks unwrapped and then hope the cops don't let me die. Like, what? So that's the thing. How much responsibility should fall into either's lap? Because, like, let's say in a perfect scenario, the dude who ate the crack did it in such a way the cops never found out, there was no evidence, and he got to go
right
on his way with 17 crack rocks in his stomach. Definitely going to die because he's probably not going to go to the hospital and be like, I ate a bunch of crack.
Right. Yeah, no.
When the police saw him eat it, knew he ate it, and then was wigging out in the interrogation room. But, like, where's the responsibility? You knew you were eating crack, bitch. Hello? You ate crack.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying one's
right
more or less than the other. It's for you to figure out. But, like, Jesus Christ.
They should have gone through some sort of measure to try and make him not die.
His stupidity was definitely what lit the fire, but their apathy was what let it burn the barn to the ground.
Yeah. So at the end of all this with the meth guy, the sheriff's office decided to post on Facebook, if you or someone you know have doubts about the authenticity of any illegal narcotics you have on hand or have obtained from another person, the Hernando County Sheriff's Office is pleased to provide this service free of charge. I wonder if anybody else actually like took him up on it.
Do not decrack a date. I don't know if he had that order. But that's the thing, though, is like, if you drop a net into the ocean, like, due to either experience or stupidity, I don't know what you want to call it, some animals are going to go like, what? And get caught.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they were, This scam has been run 14 zillion times, somewhere in between there. But where they'll go, hey, we're going to send out a bunch of letters saying that there was a sweepstakes to a bunch of people who have outstanding warrants who have won anything from a DVD player to a luxury boat. And whoever shows up gets arrested. Like, sure, that's great. I'm glad we're getting those dudes off the street and whatever. Maybe they're the nuisance that'll give, the break to their spouse that they need. But it's not like a Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty thing, right?
Yeah.
It's more like you put out a big glob of peanut butter, like in the middle of a bunch of mouse traps, and a bunch of dudes walked up and got stuck. And you go, aha, super genius. And then you stick your finger in the peanut butter and you lick it a little bit because you're disgusting.
Florida police are looking for a suspect accused
I love
of...
this photo because it says now playing above and there's a nice little foot right here.
Yeah, I had to cut it. It was
Beautiful.
Yeah, there were 2 feet there originally, but I couldn't get it.
Oh, man, that's one of Dell's toes right there.
Yep.
The other one destroyed by the banister.
Yep, totally destroyed. It totally amputated. The whole foot
Free
is gone.
boat? We call that starboard, baby, but I'll forgive you because you sex me up.
Police
I'll take the box. The box! Right?
Florida are looking for a suspect accused of breaking into a home and sucking on a sleeping man's toes. According to the Bradenton Herald and WTSP, the incident occurred Christmas Eve at a home in Bradenton. The resident said he awoke to find the intruder at his feet. The suspect then declared that he had entered the home to suck toes. The intruder tried to fondle the resident and claimed he was armed. After the pair fought, the suspect broke a window and smashed the resident's car windshield before fleeing.
Okay, so here's the wild thing about humans, right? We've introduced things that give subsections of our species something that only the alphas would usually have. So, for instance, like only a male alpha lion would do certain things, like take down a huge water buffalo or whatever. You have to be full of confidence, and not only full of confidence, you have to have the skills and abilities to back that up. You have to fucking walk the walk and talk the talk. Because you needed to have the physical prowess. But, to a lesser extent, like blades or blunt weapons, and to a larger extent, guns, like anybody can be an alpha now and do something that it would take time to do. And then that was like a natural failsafe, right? Is like if you had to be an alpha, you had to work at it. And so you would probably want to maintain that in a healthy fashion because, your skill and or muscle and or whatever natural abilities you were gifted with that you then honed were there. And so there was something, right? You had to work for what you got.
Yeah.
But then, like, this is where we get our Stephen McDaniels or whatever, where technology and or like knives or guns or maybe it's a key or whatever, something unnatural that we created sort of levels that playing field where like the stealthy jaguar in the South American jungle that would have slipped into that congregation of wild pigs and slipped in and out with one because it had the skills and shit it developed, and it is a predator that honed its existence into this. We now get a bumbling fuckwit who has no skill but gets to have a gun and gets to be as sloppy as you want, or a knife or whatever. And so skill is now replaced with mechanical fortitude.
Yeah.
And so you can say whatever you want about like barbarism and the brutality of life before society, but at least it was by and large like earned instead of manufactured. it's kind of like the difference between a football player and a race car driver. Whereas, like, I'm sure it does take a bit of physicality and a bit of fitness to drive a race car. Sure. And mental agility for sure.
Yes.
But an athlete is still going to have that edge beyond that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, anybody can buy a fucking Dodge Challenger with 9,000 horsepower because you got the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can work an ankle just like you can work an ankle, and it'll work that 9,000 horsepower monster just like yours does. But you get big nuts because you go, I bought a car, instead of like, I can bench press a whole bunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like artificial masculinity. I don't know what you want to call that concept, but it's always been like a thorn in my side. You can buy prestige. Like if you're an Olympic athlete or a bodybuilder or a strongman or whatever athlete, or you're a chess whiz, that takes time. But if you roll in and be like, yeah, this is a Ferrari, it's very fast.
Yeah. I
No
have the money
shit.
to pay for it. Yeah.
If we were all rich, or if they were as cheap as Corollas, we'd all have them. But good news for you, it's artificial.
Yeah. That was it for this. They never found the person.
Sounds like a TCAP alum.
This guy looks great. On Halloween night in Boynton Beach, Florida, the police got a call. A naked man was driving around the neighborhood with wires attached to his penis.
He was trying to contact Uranus.
Upon arrival, police said they found Kurt Jenkins, age 56, driving slowly with only a pair of red shorts on, stopping at an intersection where children were hopping off a school bus.
He's what we call a slow mover. He looks like maybe it was not Pierre Walker, but he was in the same episode. The dude who showed up who had like been fucking around with children before, who like had the blood running down his face. This looks like him, and also like a little bit of Cybert, right? Like their love child. A little bit of Cyrax.
God damn it.
It's your rectum. Sorry. They changed that. I forgot. They changed it to your rectum.
Police arrested Jenkins, and he was charged with lewd and lascivious exhibition, exposure of sexual organs, and resisting a law enforcement officer without violence charges. According to county records, he's being held on $6,000 in bonds.
Okay, here's the thing. I want to run this up your flagpole, because things are only what they are until we start labeling them, right? And you know how we in modern society go like, oh, the Victorians, they were like so horned up you couldn't have short tablecloths because table legs, whatever. I don't know what I'm getting at. It just feels like sex organs are equipped on every higher species of animal. But so we made them taboo, and so we made them something that are not acceptable in society. And as such, all the deviants love to pull them out. Like no other animal on the planet is like embarrassed by their genitals. But because we enforce these artificial like standards of like, ew, weird, gross, like vaginas and penises, gross, like put some shorts on or whatever. Something as natural as something that grows on you is like this gross thing that you could whip out at any time. And that's the horrifying part of it, right? Is like everybody's got genitals. So if you were to snap and whip them out at somebody,
yeah,
it's just like giving everybody a loaded gun because you go, oh, you shoot this thing at birth, whether it be tits, like you don't flash them, don't moon people, your ass, your vagina, your penis, your balls, whatever you want to whip out in front of somebody to get a reaction. Like it's nothing more than just a part of your body. But since we're like, ugh. And don't get me wrong, some of them are pretty gross.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've just sort of handed that power to weirdos is kind of weird, right?
Yes.
These things, we've all agreed they're weird, so only weirdos are going to whip them out. Which then weirdos go, hey, good. I'm a weirdo. And they go, here it is. Yikes.
Police did not immediately respond for comment as to why he looks the way he looks. He spent 3 days in the
That's
hospitalized.
like a dozen stitches. Like something happened.
Yeah, he was not complying with police when they asked him to, do things. He was eventually taken to the ground and handcuffed. But who knows? Maybe the Elliot Stabler thing happened, and
Well, and here's the thing. Like, as humiliating and as denigrating or whatever, like an encounter with the police can be, right? As long as you make it out on the other side alive, like as long as you are able to use your charisma, or we were talking about it before, if you come at it with an 11, you'll get that. But like if you can maintain your shit and come out on the other side, you can, like, not that I'm on board with a litigious attitude, but if there are things going to be made against you, as in transgressions, it's in your best interest to shut the fuck up and take them, because they are on the clock, you're on camera, and they're not gonna kill you probably. So you may be uncomfortable or mistreated or whatever, but you'll make it on the other side and get to file a lawsuit.
right.
Whereas if you go fucking ape shit and get yourself zapped and you like go into cardiac arrest because you're on PCP, or maybe you just got a weak heart and you're an idiot, or you make a spectacle of yourself, like it's impossible later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't, I know respect is a big thing among scumbags, and being disrespected is a huge thing for people as a thing in society, but I would eat a mountain of shit knowing that I would survive at the end and possibly get compensation, because if you know you're being mistreated, now's the time to speak up. But you won't be able to do that if they shoot your ass.
Right.
Or whatever. Like,
yeah.
No one wants to come off as being like subservient. I get that. You don't want to come off as whatever. But it's in the Tao Te Ching. If you're like water and below everybody else, no one wants to fuck with you. So eventually they'll get tired of treating you like shit. And when you get into a position of power, bingo.
Yeah.
But if someone comes at you with 11 and you go, fucking suck my dick, bitch, and jump out of the car and be like, I pay my taxes, and they have like 19 bullets in your chest because that's just the way it goes, then what?
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, take some shit because later it could be worth it.
Yeah.
But lead in your chest is
not so worth it.
Whatever. Like, let's say your family, like, wrongful death suit or whatever, you're still dead.
Yeah.
Just be alive. But this is moot to most people because I've never had to run from the police or
no.
be brutalized in a back room or whatever. So again, this is a lot of SVU pie in the sky nonsense.
Yeah.
Next, Taylor Swift.
I wonder if Tony's in. Tony, if you're here, I got this one for you.
There's a lolcow who has not only sued Taylor Swift but Ariana Grande.
Sued them?
Yes.
For like
okay, so the Ariana Grande suit, his name is Russell something or other, but he went and bought the backstage pass for $1,000, felt slighted because he has some sort of facial paralysis, and sued her and sued Taylor Swift, but he's a lolcow, like I said. And so, I don't know, man. He works for a law office, so you'd think
he'd know the
should
law
be
a little
smart.
bit.
But that's the thing. Delusion knows no, and that's why intelligence doesn't. Tony is here.
Yeah.
He says she's so kind. But delusion knows no intellect. It knows intelligence quotient. It knows no education level. If you're insane, you're insane.
Right.
And you don't know it. That's what sucks.
So April
O'Neill.
April of 2018, a Florida man faces charges after he allegedly broke into Taylor Swift's Tribeca home. Witnesses reported seeing a man enter the building but on Franklin Street around 12:30 p.m. Like noon? Really? Like during the day, breaking into Taylor Swift's house.
When you're insane, there's no time that's bad.
That's true. When officers arrived, they found a ladder up to a broken window and the man asleep in Swift's bed. I'd say that's not alleged anymore. Like that he did that.
Until, depending on when this article was written, until the case is closed, they have to say allegedly.
Roger Alvarado, age 22, was charged with stalking, burglary, criminal trespassing, and criminal mischief. She was not home at the time, obviously, because, I mean, hello, she would have security there, I imagine.
This is it's a little crazy. So, like, celebrity is an unnatural concept. Just full stop. Like, there's no other species on the planet that prizes one of its own above another because it can act good or catch a football or is super smart or whatever. So that's where these weird parasocial relationships come in. Whereas, like, and Taylor Swift is one of those where... And what do you do about it? Because it happens at all levels. Whereas before, when, like, the legacy media, before the internet, let's say, you had to be at a certain level to be on TV or the movies, and then you had a bunch of layers of protection between you and the general public for obvious reasons. Now, you can be an influencer or whatever, and you don't necessarily have to be part of, like, the legacy media, like a movie star or a TV star or whatever. And you're not afforded those same things because you're just a YouTube person. Yeah. You're just an Instagram person or TikTok or whatever. But Taylor Swift is definitely one of those ones where you go, like, what the fuck? Like, this isn't a YouTube. Like, Taylor Swift is not one of those ones. Like, when she's not at any one of her homes, there should be at least one or two dudes who are like 3 feet wide with, like...
Just there.
Yeah. Hello? Fucking... I can't imagine. But there's no way around it, too. Once you get past a certain point, and you're known by that critical mass of people, you're going to have the mentally ill, and you can't dissuade certain people from doing things. And that's what's kind of... You could be a nobody and the victim of the mentally ill, or someone who's targeted because you're super famous. The only problem is when you're super famous, you attract them like flies to
a lot. Yeah. So that was that. He got arrested, and obviously, hello,
bed, like, Jesus,
sleeping, like, in a sleep, like, not on your guard, not like just
that's
chilling.
That type of stuff is more indicative to me of, like, mental illness than anything else. Like, if you can walk into or whatever, if you're in a crazy situation in Taylor Swift's bed, like, I can't imagine, even if I was allowed to be in the house, like, getting into her bed and laying down, I would be on pins and needles the whole time.
Yeah.
But if you can fall asleep, something is switched off and you're like, I'm checked out of humanity.
Yeah. This guy looks great.
Florida man.
Look at his shoulders or something.
He's got Cyrax shoulders. He's got no shoulders. He goes immediately from neck to, like,
arm.
Yeah. Yikes.
Or it looks like this is like a picture and he's getting a haircut.
Still, when I get a haircut, I still have shoulders. Mine go like that. His go woo.
Anyway, he walked into a bar and claimed he was a health inspector who would shut the place down if they didn't serve him a drink. Lance Walters here, age 27. He went into Earl's Hideaway Lounge, and when the manager denied his
request... Whenever I think of a hideaway lounge, I think of the name Earl. Yeah, like something tropical, hideaway, lounge, tikis, fruity drinks. I go, Earl, is that you? Free shot of rubbing alcohol. He got a free shot of Barbasol.
Something.
Because he is wearing a smock. It definitely does look like a haircut smock.
Yeah.
The more I look at it, yeah.
When the manager denied his request for a drink, Walters insisted he was a health inspector and threatened to close down the business. When that story didn't work, he claimed his father was the chief of police in Palm Bay. Quote, at one point, the subject dared the manager to hit him so he could close the business down for good.
Here's the thing. This may be the third time I'm going to specifically point this out, but your charisma level, it's not just good in D&D, it's good in real life. And a few props, right? I've told this story before, but I'm telling you again. So if you act confidently and walk into any establishment in a hard hat and vest, and you can throw in a clipboard if you want. Salmon knows this. There's a costume you can put on to gain credibility that is only bolstered by an attitude of, I'm supposed to be here. Now, I did not have the attitude, but I had the costume was when I was an electrician, and I would walk into, we were doing banks. So I'd walk into banks, I would walk behind the counter, and I would say, is there a manager around here? People treated me as if I was supposed to be there when I wasn't even sure I was at the right spot. So it doesn't even need to be like overconfident. If you just show up and you're like, hey, can you show me to wherever? They probably will.
Yeah.
Just play the part. Don't get in people's faces. I'm not condoning criminal activity, obviously, too. But like, this is how you interact with people. If you don't make a fuss, you don't get fucked with. Like,
right.
That's it.
Yeah. The cops were called. When they got there, he was reeking of booze. He was standing in the parking lot hollering at the bar employees. The cops also just asked him to leave, but he stood his ground and changed his story again. He says, quote, the defendant stated that his father also owned Earl's Hideaway and that he was allowed to be on the property. He started raising his voice again and getting louder. He was given a last warning to leave the premises by finding a ride home, but then the defendant again stated he was calling... The defendant stated he was calling the Palm Bay police chief.
Anytime that someone brings up their dad, just feels like, listen, it's not the 4th grade. Let's knock that shit off. Like, my dad can't beat up your dad or whatever thing. Like, if your dad, my dad's a lawyer. Like, here's the thing. If your dad is a bigwig, like the Murdaughs, let's say, that's a big murder case. If you're Alec Murdaugh, everybody knows who the fucking Murdaughs are. So none of the fucking Murdaugh kids probably ever had to say, I'm Alex Murdaugh's kid. Because they have a fucking legacy. If you ever have to go, I'm a such and such's kid, or I'm on TikTok.
I'm the kid of the police chief.
You
like,
lost.
really? Yeah, so he was taken in, and he was like, he had $1,000 bond. I want to know what he's wearing or why he's wearing that.
He was getting a haircut.
This is my last article that I have. Arrested after driving off from deputy, calling 911 to rub it in.
Rub it in?
Yeah, he left. He drove away, and then he called 911 to be like, "Hey,
like
I
a
left,
fuck you,
bitch.
not like head on, rub apply directly to the forehead, right? Yeah, rub it in. Blade rub-ins. What? What are you rubbing it into? Glade rub-ins? Rub it in?
A Florida man was arrested after allegedly driving off from a traffic stop and then calling 911 to rub it in. Allegedly. Nicholas Jones, this was like, when was this? 2019, so it's probably not allegedly anymore.
Probably not.
Nicholas Jones, age 19, is charged with reckless driving, misusing 911, and violation of probation.
Here's the thing, like a lot of these, because we humans love extremes, so we're going to find the extremes in any situation, like the biggest dinosaur and the smallest dinosaur, the most aggressive meat eater, whatever, largest plant eater. In your mind, if I were to say, what do you think like being a 911 operator is? It would probably be something in your head heightened to like talking people through like bleed outs or heart attacks and like giving people CPR instructions or whatever, and like being that one hero 911 operator that we all hear on the true crime videos instead of the one that's like, what? There's a person with a nug? I forget where I was going with that.
Imagine being this 911 person that gets the call.
Oh, yeah, like the extreme, because you're probably going to get a healthy dose of basically nothing. Like hang-ups or kids or like, I don't know what to do. And like, okay, whatever. But there's probably that 3% on each side where it's people who committed the crime and they're writing themselves out because they're stupid, like the meth guy or maybe this guy or whatever, or like the legitimate ones.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that hypothetically because I don't know. I would hope that like 3% on either side are like the serious ones and these ones. And everything in the middle is like when I learned how to dial 911 and I was like, hello, okay, bye at 4. And they called back to be like, is somebody dead? And my mom's like, don't actually call 911. I'm sure it's a lot of that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of people that are like high on something calling and being like, and like trying to order a pizza.
Right, because like, that's the thing. It has to be a catch-all, but it has to be the extremes.
Yeah. I used to want to be a dispatcher.
It wouldn't be, I don't know, it feels like it would be super stressful because you hear you
have to walk through
calls.
CPR for people and like the
Getting
Heimlich
people
and
out of
shit.
suitcases or whatever, but then like I'm sure most of the time it's like, okay, is your mommy there? Or like, what? You want us to test your meth? What's your address?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. So a deputy tried to pull over this kid in a white Hyundai an hour after he sped away from the police officer. He called and said, I want to know, I like ran from a cop 30 minutes to an hour ago. I was the guy over there off King's Estates. Like, what do we pay you guys for? Like, I've driven past 4 cops.
Here's the thing. Hubris is not unusual. I cannot confirm this story, but one of my coworkers at one of my jobs told me he was a dude who liked to ride those crotch rockets. And he told me about a time that he was speeding and like attracted some cop attention and like it got serious and whatever. He got away, but moral of the story, the wisdom of the story was if you ever get into a like triple digit speed limit, high speed chase with the cops, drive to the airport because it's restricted airspace and they can't bring helicopters and shit to chase you. So it's easier to lose the ground units.
Yeah.
Because they can't just fly a helicopter over the airport. And he's like, yeah, whenever I would get like in deep shit, I would just drive to the airport and like hide in one of like, because in Phoenix or in Sky Harbor, it's like whatever, 10 or 12 stories of parking.
Mm-hmm.
And with no like, I cannot confirm it, but it seems plausible.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense that you can't have helicopters in there and like you're on a motorcycle.
Yeah, like if you're on 1,000 cc's of Hayabusa or Kawasaki or whatever, any of those crotch rockets, yeah, like you can blow out the cops and you're not going to blow off a helicopter. But if you go into some place that has restricted airspace, I don't know if that's true. Again, I'm not giving advice.
No,
but that's just what I was told, and I would never have thought of it because I'm not a scumbag and I'm not going to run from the cops doing 130 plus on a motorcycle.
No,
my motorcycle will do like 80 tops.
Yeah. So the dispatcher was super confused and was like, "What do you mean you ran from a cop?" He goes, "I mean, he turned his lights on me and got behind me, and as he was walking up to my door, I did a donut around him and left." The dispatcher asks if the caller asks if the caller is asking to see the officer and what exactly the caller is asking about. He says, "My question is, I'm assuming he put an APB out that has someone looking for my car. So, like, he definitely got the plate number. But I've passed, like, 4 cops just driving around. Like, what are you guys doing?"
Right, but cops aren't going to run every fucking plate if everybody who drives by them.
Right.
And, like, here's the thing. Information is going to be disseminated in unusual patterns. So all you have to do is be too stupid to realize that you skirted the law.
Right. So the deputy was like, they've got a lot of calls that they're working on. The next day, the deputies found a car with the same tags in front of a clothing store. He was arrested. They found him. He was arrested and told deputies that from his perspective, quote, "The cop had no right to stop me. I saw him turn his lights and sirens on, and was going to stop, but I didn't want to."
So he had no right. It's not... Okay, sorry. Whoops. He had no right to stop me. Wait, no. I just didn't want to.
Yeah, I just
didn't
didn't want to
every
stop.
right, probably. I just was fuck it. It's Florida, bitch.
And then he goes, when Jones realized that his call was what led officers to find him, duh. He goes, "That's funny. So I told on myself, no cop can catch me in my Hyundai Elantra. That thing is fast."
My fucking Hyundai Elantra.
And that's the news. News.
That's the adventures of Florida man and one woman.
I had already gotten that woman article and I was like, I'm doing it. F it.
It's fine. But that's what I like about Florida is it gets a lot of shit, like a lot of news, a lot of southern states or whatever. As long as you have a stereotype against somebody, you're going to find evidence to support that. I don't think Florida is any more or less fucked up than any other state proportionally or anything.
We can just see it more.
Yeah, that's the thing. The openness of its, I don't even know what you would call it. Its legislature and media.
Yeah, everything.
They just release everything. Whereas, I don't know. I'm talking about this in the Discord too, but I'm of two minds about it because as a consumer of content who does not have the ability or even the option to be part of that process, I'm okay with it because something gets released in Florida, I see it on YouTube, whatever, and I go, well, whatever. I'm not going to be picked for the jury. I don't know. It's so. What are numbers? What I'm getting at, let's say, pick one of our Florida contestants, Federico Gondola, for instance, Florida dude, Osceola County. I don't know who would have because if you're picking random people from the community, how many people that you choose are going to be true crime fans and also stumble across that particular footage? And then beyond that, because again, you can lie. Let's say you saw the footage, but just are horned up about the case and really want to sit in. No one can be like, are you lying?
Yeah, that's, not even so with, what the hell? Shabizness. And she's in Wisconsin, and we didn't see her interrogation on YouTube prior to the trial.
I wonder if that happened excuse me, to Daryl Brooks as well, because
probably
he's so aggravating I wasn't able to keep a timeline. But I knew when he was live and his case was live, and I'm not sure if his interrogation footage was released like Shabusiness was, after basically everybody had already gotten everything and it was a wrap.
Yeah. So I watched the whole trial.
Her interrogation is fucking insane.
It's like 7 hours long or something. I haven't watched the whole thing. I only watched what I could during the trial because they played like an hour or an hour and a half of it plus an extra on her second interview, like 4 minutes of it.
Which is interesting because I don't know. I just always took for granted that it was like, if you're going to watch a little bit, you probably have to watch it all, because in the legal system, it doesn't feel like there's wiggle room to be like, how much of this interrogation we're going to watch? Because you can say, well, it was taken out of context.
Right. And the way the judge mentioned it, he was like, there's a lot of nothing, like a lot of silence, like 2 hours of literal silence in a row.
Yeah, like that stuff I get.
So like the defense and the prosecution or in the state, they whittled it down to 90 minutes or however long it was. But the crazy part was not even that, but just the fact that there was an issue during the trial where a juror told the bailiff, who told the judge, that one of his friends told him that he saw him on YouTube.
Right, and that's something that will become
a thing.
Maybe, though. So, like earlier, we were talking about, like, whatever, Federico Gondola. A jury member could have possibly seen that on YouTube if it made out before, but could have lied about it.
Right, and that's like the judge, he deemed that the Law and Crime channel, which is the one that I was watching, they have them specifically placed in spots in the courtroom that do not show the jury in any way, shape, or form. So unless somebody in the courtroom itself, like a citizen, was filming, but even the security has cameras and they didn't see anybody have their phones out.
But that's the thing, though. Like,
so they thought it was BS.
But who? I mean, the court tells you when you're in jury duty, like, don't talk about this, don't do this, don't do that. Humans don't listen. Right. So I guarantee 6 out of the 12 people told somebody something. Mm-hmm. There's no purity in any system.
Well, so the guy that went up and was like, hey, my friend said this, he showed his text to the judge and was like, I told him you can't talk to me about this stuff. Like, he shut the guy down. But other jurors heard that this was going on, and so the judge had to be like, listen, as far as I know, and I see everything in front of me,
right.
No, like, you guys were not on. He's like, so I don't know. So, of course, defense wanted a mistrial, and he was like, no.
And that's where we get into this murky water of, like, intent and what hypothetically could have happened. And
that juror could have said literally nothing, and none of it would have come up.
Right, and that's part of it too, is like you can have an ethical or a moral dilemma and bring it up, and even though it is a literal non-issue because every well is tainted more or less. Yeah. Like, none of this is happening in a vacuum. No one is getting an objective look or a fair trial, because even a jury of your peers is going to have certain prejudices and biases, and it's just an insane crapshoot.
Yeah.
Because
and it's the same with like Shad's mother wasn't supposed to be videotaped when she went on the stand, and the first 10 seconds of her going onto the stand, her video was there, so now she's all over YouTube. I mean, really, realistically, we heard her voice and we know her name. Like, they didn't change her name for the trial. Like,
right, and that's the thing. It's like, reality isn't concrete. It's this thing that everybody looks at and says, it's this, and we all go, oh yeah, sure, but it's actually this. And we say that to ourselves.
Yeah.
But what do you do? That's the thing. Like, it's not cut and dry. Most issues that are, important to humans, like staying alive, like the hierarchy of needs: food, water, sleep. Beyond that, you have creative expression and yada, yada, yada. You can say if people don't get food, they will die. Mm-hmm. Because that's true. Like there's a mechanical pattern in place that says this needs to happen for this. But when we get into the realm of thought and ideas and concepts of righteousness and morality and ethics, we go, well, what's right and what's wrong? That's why we have, every time a case wraps, 50% of the people going, that's good, and 50% of people going, not enough.
Yeah.
And, a fair amount of people going, I don't know. Maybe it was too much. Maybe it was whatever. The DNA will come out later. That's where we are. I don't know. And if it got better, right, what does that mean? Like Minority Report, where you can precog crimes. We can stop them before they even start. Because that's what we're doing, or rather, that's what we're telling ourselves we're doing now. There's no such thing as like crime prevention necessarily, because there's no metric for that. How many crimes have been prevented because of actions put in place by us? Nobody knows, because they never happened.
Yeah.
But the ones that do happen, we know. And it's not a lot, but it's not a math problem. It's not a science. It's an art. And that's why you see a lot of theatrics in closing arguments, in opening arguments, and evidence. The defense attorney in Thought Crimes, like Stephen C.G., just like that. It's impossible because, I don't know, man.
The defense attorney in Shabusiness's thing?
Yeah.
Mr. Freilich?
Right, because if you're a bad actor or a bad performer...
Yeah, he was not good.
You could be as smart as you can possibly be in law. If you're zero charisma, zero at acting, zero at human interaction, you're going to lose every case.
He was not great.
That's why,
in my opinion.
No, you're probably right, because criminal justice is an art, not a science.
The state guy, Mr. Saunders, fucking on point. He was like Casey Novak or
and
fucking...
here's the thing about that too, is like, if it were a science, there wouldn't be such things as victim impact statements, right?
Right.
Because if you were going to study a single cell organism, you're going to look at it as objectively as possible in as many situations as possible, not implying or imposing or proselytizing or whatever. You're not going to bring emotion and be like, this guy's a sad amoeba.
Yeah.
But you have victim impact statements to go from like, okay, this was a crime of this severity to, like, let's say Larry Nassar.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible on the surface, but then you've got 17 dozen people being like, here's how it affected me. You go, whoa.
Yeah.
That's not art. That's not science. It's an art.
Yeah.
You're appealing emotionally to get a concrete thing. We can go plug it into a formula and be like, okay, this crime says there's a sentence from this to this. Murder, let's say, to make it easy, like in the UK, for instance, you can get a whole life sentence or life without the possibility of parole for 25 years. And logically, correctly, or whatever you want to say, you'd say, these are the circumstances. You plug it into a formula and it spits out an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But the second your math problem gets to hear, well, I'm very sad and this will never change and this happened and I'll never be the same, it's no longer something we can look at and be like, yeah, nailed it. 2 + 2 = 4.
Mm-hmm.
and we'll never be there. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. We as humans, we take ourselves so seriously to the point where we're like, because every other species of animal on the planet of lower intelligence, shit happens to them and they just sort of have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's rare, but like if a gazelle kills another gazelle with its horns, everybody just has to sort of
move on
and hope the lions get that asshole next.
Yeah.
We've internalized the idea of justice or the idea of recompense or whatever. And how can you? Because again, the person who's dead is dead. But the person who is alive can go from the electric chair to a mental institution, anywhere in between. But the person who's dead is still dead.
Yeah.
And not for any realistic, functional, mechanical purpose. A gazelle who dies provides chemical energy to one or more lions. Everybody Jeffrey Dahmer killed was just so he could get a boner.
Yeah.
And so after the fact, you go, well, let's look at his mental thing and this and that and the other. It's not like Jeffrey Dahmer killed those people to eat them because he needed to survive. He wasn't an apex predator. It wasn't them. It's not an us or them situation. It was for the fuck of it. And to pad the blow of that with anything just feels like shitty. But again, you'll never find something on this channel or me saying, like, this is the way it should be, because I don't think there is. There isn't a way.
Yeah.
Because in nature, if you're a dick, you're just a dick until you're snuffed out by time or somebody bigger or whatever.
Right.
That's what our brains have given us, is this idea that it's not a barbarism or a survival of the fittest. It's not a concept of like some dicks just exist and will probably fuck up your day. It's like, well, let's make those dicks pay.
Yeah.
But how much? And that's the Florida man. There always be caught, and it's like a catch and release program. the salmon that get caught and eaten, that's an arc. That's an end to that story. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's an end. But to go to the same lake to catch the same fish, to release the same fish, to catch the same fish, to release the same fish, especially when those fish are a nuisance. It's up to you, the viewer, right? What do you do? Because the person who's a nuisance, who doesn't commit any heinous crimes, can cause more stress and strife and loss than someone who has a quick, violent act.
Right.
But we're working at it, I guess. Like, that's the thing, is like our method may be fucked, but we're trying our hardest. I guess that's it, right? That's the concept of the Florida man, is nature will always rear up in any living organism to create aberrance. It's just our foible is trying to impose order upon a system where there is none, or that doesn't have any organic pattern.
Yeah.
Nature is a self-correcting system. It might produce some aberrations, but eventually they get ironed out. It's just humans want to get in front of that to be like, oh, no. The karmatic cycle or whatever, the natural cycle. Sure, we'll all be turned to dust, or we'll all in our old age realize our mistakes. But we're not really comfortable with waiting.
That's true.
We want Shabusiness or Gondola or Boone or whoever to really fucking sweat that shit.
Yeah.
And if we can't get them legally, we'll get them on the internet lolcow style.
Yeah. Her sentencing hearing isn't until September 26th.
Which is wild. But when you think about it, like...
It's so long from now.
No, but like, I'm just talking about like the flow of people. Because our criminal justice system lives off of plea bargains and shit. Because there's not enough time
to do it all
and manpower and people to spread out.
Yeah, because when I after the hearing ended and the jury left, they were talking about scheduling the sentencing, and so the judge is looking at his calendar on his computer, and they were still live.
Right.
They're talking, and he's like, "Okay, how about September 13th?" And the defense is like, "I've got 3 cases that day." And he's like, okay, how about the 26th? I've got some things. You've got some things. How about we do 9:30? Is that cool?
We just don't want to accept that we're doing this because we want our pound of flesh.
Right.
It's not physics. It's not math. It's not chemistry. It's not biology. It's none of that.
Mm-mm.
It's not something that's predictable, nor is it something that is essential or elemental.
Yeah.
It's this ethereal thing where we go, you know what? You're lucky you're not over here because that's a hanging judge. I'm a nice judge. Like, what? Like, have you ever had a nice math problem versus a hanging math problem? Whatever.
Yeah, she's gonna look like the Crypt Keeper by September. It'll take 5 minutes for the judge to say life without parole. Seriously, like, I mean, come on.
That's the thing.
The faces that the judge was making during this trial
We'll
was
get into
amazing.
business one day. We got to get into Brooks too, but they are a kissing cousin species.
Yeah.
Whereas Shabusiness was smart enough to be like, all right, like you at least had to go to law school. I'll go with you versus like Daryl Brooks, who's like, where's the state of Wisconsin? I'd like to question them. Like, what?
She apparently has been through she's like a Sarah Boone. This guy, Mr. Freilich, was her 6th attorney.
Here's the thing. In the civilian world, think of it like this. So you're not an idiot. In the civilian world, like an LLC or a corporation, they are a legal entity, but not a living one, right?
Sure.
Whereas, like, there's something in there. It's a fucking minefield of like, because like in LLC, you can say, well, this company hurt me, and you can sue a company, but it can't hurt. That lawsuit can't hurt a person. You take money from a company, but no single person will be hurt.
Yeah.
Whereas like that concept exists in the legal system, whereas like the state of Wisconsin versus Daryl Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Produce the state of Wisconsin. If you're an idiot, you can be like, aha, gotcha, bitch. Like, produce the state of Wisconsin. It's a legal entity, motherfucker. In a system where most of what you're going to be dealing with are conceptual exclusively. Don't do that shit. You'll look like a fucking moron.
Yeah, like there's no prosecution.
If someone sues you, you can say, hey, who are you, bitch? You'll be like, hey, I'm the bitch who's suing you, and this is Judge Judy.
Right. If somebody is deceased, there's nobody that's going to be a prosecution.
You're never going to meet the state of Wisconsin. You're never going to meet Osceola County. You're never going to meet these people because
it's whoever's
they're legal,
appointed by the court.
Yeah, they're legal entities. The Earth isn't flat, and the state of Wisconsin doesn't have to show up in costume. You fucking moron, right?
The one prosecutor just comes in with like a state mascot.
Yeah, like
suit.
Ralph of like one of that disgusting Florida costume with the oranges pasted to it. Like, what the fuck, bitch? Put your head out of your ass. Doesn't happen that way.
No.
But that's why we come back to true crime. It's like and this is cliche and it's annoying, but because here's the thing, art is based off of reality. People create art based off of their real life experience. So whenever you watch a true crime video and they go, it was right out of a horror movie, like, bitch, that's just art imitating life that was imitating art that was imitating life. The core of it is like, no matter how horrifying the movie, we do that to each other.
Yep.
It's fucked.
Look at Taylor. Goddamn.
And, you know, on the spectrum of people, she's not even that bad.
I know. It's just, she just, the way she talked about it was, I think, made it worse.
She's called Lady Dahmer or whatever, but like, look into that Australian lady who killed her common law husband and made like steaks out of his ass. Like, her plan was to act crazy after it went down.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better way to convince someone I'm crazy than to like process their body as you would a cow.
Right. Right.
That's that for you. Anyway, guys, thanks for showing up so much. We'll be back in 2 days' time on my real birthday to do the what's his first name? Vincent?
Vincent Ambrosio.
Breakdown with baked salmon classic. A little ladder day. Have a seat, have a seat.
Hang out with Chris Hansen.
Come on in
some
and
pizza.
sit right down.
Have a slice
we'll leave
of
the light
pepperoni.
on for you with Chris Hansen coming up with Vincent Ambrosio. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad you guys all showed up and enjoyed it. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tony, and everybody else. Appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on another episode of FFOP Radio or whatever.
Bye.
For this, try to.
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.